Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2D Animation, the Masterclass. I'm here with Jeff Wilson, local animator, and today we're going to start week one. And this is a 4-week class, so I encourage everyone to, to sign up, and you can take all 4 weeks. And by joining us here, you will have access to all 4 weeks as well. So your digital ticket, you're on week one, then there'll be week two, week three, week four. But if you want to get reminders, make sure you go on Eventbrite and then get a ticket for each week, and that way you're going to get that instantly reminding you, so you don't miss these exciting workshops. I'm really, really excited. Jeff brings a wealth of knowledge in 2D animation, and just really the fundamentals and the principles and the concepts of animation that I think are really crucial as a building block and foundation for as you get into moving illustration. So really, really excited that Jeff has agreed to share his knowledge and a lot of secrets, I would say, too. I think I'm really excited to learn about all this. So yeah, I just want to thank all our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, and then we have our library partners. So we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So really glad that we can work with everyone. We have computers coming up. So as we get into less restrictions now, the digital computers will be available at all the libraries to use. So you can book iMac computers, go there, and then you can check out some of the software and work on things like Affinity Photo and Designer, where you can draw some things. Jeff will be, so Jeff's working in the ProCreate software for demonstration purposes, and he'll be taking us through that. So that software is available on iPads that you can take out directly through our partners. So at the Blue Mountains Public Library and the Collingwood Public Library, there's iPads with ProCreate and Apple Pencils available. So if you're a member there, you can actually take them out if you don't have one yourself and try out some of these things as well. So yeah, really, really excited. So without any further ado, let me pass it over to Jeff. Here we go.
Okay, and thank you, Tom. And I'm really excited about sharing some of my experiences with animation. It's something that I got into very much later in my life. I think I was about 29 when I've been doing animation to a large extent a lot of my life because I used to do flip books back in the day, and flip books are a very basic animation form. And I used to sketch on my. I don't recommend this, but I used to doodle on my school books, and I got into quite a bit of trouble for doing that. And one of the things I did was little flip book illustrations, and this was not something that was shown to me by an artist. It was shown to me by a fellow student who was equally, looking for something interesting during a dull class time, and which unfortunately we had a lot of during our times in school, and showed me, look what I did. And it was a little thing he'd done in the corner of his notebook of a cartoon, basically. So it was really fun, and I think you can sort of, it's really the basis for all animation. I remember an interview I once saw with the great Chuck Jones, and who was an animator that I was a big fan of back in when I was a boy, because a lot of his cartoons were ones I saw as a boy with the Warner Brothers cartoons. And I remember this interview where he's seemed to be a really interesting guy, but a very down to earth guy, and he said. The best place to start was with doing a flip book, and he said if you want to get into animation and then you've never done a flip book, shame on you. And I thought, wow, that means that I did something right, even though certainly my teachers never saw that. But anyway, I'm going to start today with a little exercise. Basically, we're going to create a little flip book for for a little practice, just to get a little start doing it. The idea is that you are creating a little drawing, a little cartoon. There was a great program that when I first got a smartphone, that I would use my fingers and would drew a little animation on my smartphone, and it had the onion skinning and the tweens that you could do on your cell phone. I don't know if that program's still available, but I had a lot of fun doing that when I first did that, because of course it brought back a lot of childhood memories. And So we're going to start right away. Let's just adjust my camera here so I can point at my iPad, and we'll just get right at it here. We'll point the screen right at it here at my iPad, and we'll get started at a little animation here. So I've got myself a background of a cliff, basically, and just did that. Let's just rename that cliff. And we're going to create some layers here. So what we're doing is basically one drawing at a time. This will be like if you are doing a flip book, you'll be creating these little drawings. So let's just start with a black line here. We'll just create a tool here. Let's not do the marker. Let's do a nice studio pen. I really like the studio pen tool here to start with, and we'll start with our little animation. So what I'm going to do is just a basic stick man. Let's even take that line down a bit here. Just going to affect here on the left side, we can affect our line width and our line opacity here. So let's bring up the opacity and take that width down a bit. So we're going to create our little stick man, and a very basic stick man, and we'll have him with his legs this long and walking. Stick man walking pose here. So there's our scene one. We started our little scene here. We're going to create a new scene here, and we're going to bring a little further. So we're going to keep everything the same, the proportions the same. We're even going to keep the legs the same, only we're going to draw in the separate layer. And for the purposes of what we're doing here, we're going to basically keep it fairly basic. And so there's scene two, scene one, scene two. It's looking fun already. So we're going to create a new layer, put in scene three here. So we've got our character walking, and we can pretty much do the same thing and we did in scene one. Here you see the three scenes together. Let's just zoom in a bit on that to show you what we've been doing so far. There's your three scenes. So let's create another scene here. In scene four, we're going to have our character stepping down here, and pretty much a repeat of scene two there. We're going to bring the character a little further forward. Yeah, that's just even. Yeah, you'll notice I'm keeping things in a similar line. So if I go back to our background scene here, and just lightly in blue, just sort of show the. This really helps too. Even if in your mind's eye you can see the line of motion where the character is going through here. So if you can keep that in mind, that will help you quite a bit. So then we're going to add to the details of the character's arms here, the arm motion, and we'll again the foot moving again. Then let's go to scene to level 5. Oh, I think I just did something there. Didn't mean to do that. I should have. We should have done it on this one here. That was my fault there. That's the thing. When you get into layers, you really need to keep track of what you're doing. Okay, so that's scene 5. Take all these down. So if we follow what we've done, we're just going to follow our character through 2, 3, 4 steps. And you would continue this on right to the very end here. And what we can do is what I've discovered that you can do here is if you're in a walk cycle like this, you can duplicate your layer and kind of cheat a bit here. We move it up here, and we can take our character in scene 2, and we can go to and we can move him up here. And that will make it a lot easier. We don't have to draw as much because we're creating the cycles here. And the same with this one here. We can take that one off. Let's keep that one on and then duplicate this layer. Now he's going up a bit of an incline here, so it's going to be a little different. So let's continue to duplicate this layer. Oops, I didn't want to do that. And I'm using my undo tool again. I'm very familiar with it now. It's becoming my friend. So we're having our character coming right to the edge of this cliff scene here, and then we're going to take these other scenes off here, and we're going to create a whole different type of animation. We're going to do a whole different sequence of movement. We're going to have the character planning to jump off. Let's see what we can do here. Where are we? There we go. So we have our blank screen there. So before you do any movement, you need to do the anticipation movement. And this is part of animation. This is something I learned making the flip books. So he's planning to do something here. And I think we could even do another one to have him really extremely anticipation here, where he's even crouching even further. And then it really makes it a fun motion. What we're going to do now is have the jump motion that he's going to jump forward. He'll be moving forward a little bit here. Yeah, let's change the head. I always was erasing my figures. Yeah, let's maybe even change that back a bit here. We keep that nice whip action here and then give a little more looking power to the legs. For that scene, create another scene here, and then we are in full flight here. He's changed his whole body movement here. And you'll notice he's kind of springing back and outward. And, you know, I think I would even take that a bit away from the scene. So let's have a look at the motion here, where we have him walking to the edge here, getting ready to jump, and then in free flight off the cliff. And you can actually, what I think I will do here, just have him in this mode for a couple of scenes, and maybe not jumping too far yet. Let's just delete that one. Duplicate this again. And with gravity, it starts slowly, but then it begins to pick up steam. So then you have the next scene there. And he's getting close to the ground. So I think for our next scene, we're going to have him reacting to the ground here. He's kind of changing his posture again. He's maybe trying to catch his balance here. And that is part of animation too, is the hope of regaining balance in animation. So here we go in that scene. Oh, I think I actually drew on that other scene, so I might have to. It's fun too if you make a mistake, you can go back and you can correct it a bit there. So let's actually do that that part on this scene here. Well, let's redo it a bit here. Okay, so we've got the two scenes there. We'll duplicate this scene again. Yeah, you'll find with animation a lot of duplication, a lot of redoing. It's fun. It really is fun. It can be quite fun. So let's go back here, and we'll just have the our character getting ready to land. He's the hope of regaining his balance. He's kind of getting his body ready to land here. And in our next scene, which will be a very fun scene, he'll be landing very awkwardly. And then for our final couple of scenes, he'll be kind of coming to rest. And let's get rid of some of these other jumping scenes here. And in our final couple of scenes, we'll have him regaining his balance. He's going to actually come back to a state of rest here. Let's see if we can do this. See if it'll allow me to do this. Mastering the program is 90% of this this whole exercise. I see I don't have the window activated. That check mark is the indicator that we have to do this. And then we have the coiled body is going to straighten up here. The arms are straightening up. And then for our final one, we're going to have him not quite really at rest, but definitely a lot better than he was. And there you have your scene. You have your little cliff jumping scene. So let's start from the beginning here. 2, 3. Let's go back here a bit. Here, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 and 16. Oh, landing 17 and 18. There you go. So there's the animation. Let's see if you do have the drawing guide here on your animation assist. So let's try that and let's see if it will work. If we highlight all our drawings here, it can take us through the whole sequence. Okay, let's undo what I did there. So let's go back here, make sure. So what I'm going to do is hit play here. Okay, so it didn't keep the cliff in all the drawings, but you can see it's measurably the action we wanted. And let's see, you can affect your frames per second in the settings here. Run it as a loop. So it'll keep running as a loop, or you can do it as a one shot where it'll run as a one shot here. I haven't quite mastered how you do keep the background in the scene, but that is it is in the scene in the early part of this video. So let's go back to loop here and let's go down to play. This is in your actions, which is your wrench here in your menu at the top, and in that you check your canvas, which you highlight that in blue, and then you have several choices, but the one you want is the animation assist. And just highlight that. It'll open up this great little menu here. You have your settings, and you can just play a little sample of what you've been animating here. And let's zoom in on that and have a little look at that. And it unfortunately it doesn't keep that. What you would have to do pretty much is for this to work in this program was have that that cliff in every scene. But if I can just kind of talk to you while this is happening. I'll just slow down the frames per second here, which is in that menu, the settings menu, as it's looping. And this is a good way to check to make sure your movement is smooth. And one of the things you need to do is to make sure that the action, the movements of force, like he's jumping, he's at this point where he's jumping here, and then he's in flight and he's falling and falling and falling and then landing. So the animation is a wonderful way of showing very important laws of nature, the law of movement and balance, imbalance, the hope of catching balance, the forces of gravity, the forces of muscular strength. So, and I hope this has shown you how you can show that. And this is of course a very basic way of showing it. And it was, we did this in less than, how many minutes did we take this to do that? Less than 10 minutes to do this, but it is a wonderful step. So I hope that was helpful, and you can do this on your software, on your let's see, your ProCreate software. I work with so many softwares. I want to make sure I get the right one. And this is basically showing the timeline here. Again, you have you can do things like blend your primary rate. Let's see, increase your onion skin opacity. So ping pong, I'm not sure what that means, but the loop is the one I usually do to get the motion, showing the motion. The one shot, it will just do one run through. So what it does is it'll, let's try play here. What it's going to do is just go through the whole sequence, the whole cycle in one motion. And there's our onion skin showing in different colors. This is a great way to it's like an animator flipping the pages to get the motion. So let's take a look at another pose I did here. This was another, and it's just 5 drawings here basically, and they're all highlighted here, and with a white background. So I'll just check off the poses here. So our first pose is a key movement. So this is your key movements, and this is very important in animation, your extreme movement. So there's the key movement number 1, kind of at rest pose. Then this would be kind of an extreme pose number 2, because you would be going into from one movement to coming to almost rest in another movement, where you're just about to go into a third movement. So it's basically the first movement here would be the first pose. This is the character at rest, about to go into movement. So then it would take him from here to the next movement here, which is an extreme movement, almost ready to pitch a baseball. And then the third movement, the follow through of a baseball pitch. So we're going to show you the in-betweens here to get the motion. And we've just basically done this with our previous scene here. So you have your scene 1 and 2, and let's just take off the and rate, and we will. So we're going to have a look at these 2 scenes. Basically the extreme movements, and then we're going to take it to the third and final movement here, and we'll have we'll play that. So there you go. There's your basic motion, and you can see how it's the character is moving from. Let's just slow down that frames per second here. That'll help us to see the movement more. It's character's leaning back, and you see his body kind of coiling back in that second scene, and then following through in the third scene. Now, what I've also done, I've gone ahead and done these. I've done some tweens as well, the in-betweens for the scene. And these would be, there would be more than this. There would be more drawings as you have slower movements too, to indicate easing in and easing out of the motion. And if you have a really quick motion, you would have a lot fewer tweens between the scenes here. So here's our pitching scene. We have the character leaning back and then powering forward and thrusting that ball forward. And we don't even see it leave his hand. We imagine in our minds that it has left his hand and it's sailing its way rapidly toward an unknown destination. But the goal, of course, is to show the effort and the mastery of the elements, the mastery of gravity, the force of the body, and the strength of the body putting the ball forward. And I know it's not perfect, but it is the goal of animation. And you can do this on your ProCreate program and using these programs. I'm just going to go through it again. It's in your actions. You can do the drawings first, but if you want to see it animate, go to your actions, go to the canvas, and the animation assist. And there's another tool in here, the drawing guide, which will put a grid on your canvas, and you can use that to help to. I'm just going to put a little thing here. As we look at it, what am I trying to say here? The force of motion. So we have. Let's imagine we've got a pendulum here. The pendulum would start here. It would whip back here. Okay, let's go back to this scene here. And let's just take it off the animation assist for the time being. And we'll just take off all of these scenes here. We'll just have our scene here. So the motion, the scene 2 whips back here. And then it's thrusting forward here again. So it's basically back and then this way. So it's like a arrow, bow and arrow, basically too. It kind of powers back and then quick thrust forward, and that's the motion that you would experience. So again, if we can imagine a pendulum moving back here and then the quick movement forward, and that's the illusion of movement in cartoons. And I know when I first saw an animated cartoon on television, like many of us did, and that was kid growing up on the farm and seeing Bugs Bunny moving and walking and jumping in the air and doing things that I could never do. It was magic to me, and it will be, I'm sure it has been to you too. So I hope this helps to give you a little sense of how these things work. I'll just take this out of here, delete that, and we'll go back to, let's see, let's highlight all these scenes again. And I will just go back here to the animation assist, and we will play this again in slow motion. You can see the thrusting, and the quick movement at the end, how the hand is mid-throw, but you don't see the ball leave the hand. And that's the magic of animation, and you can have so much fun with it. I remember doing my first couple of animation scenes when I was working on Teddy Ruxpin, and I had never done it beyond just a flip book or just trying to duplicate it in a comic strip. And it was quite a great feeling, and to have it approved and go into the show, it was quite exciting. So I definitely haven't done it the way classical animators have, and some of the great ones have gone to college and done it, but I have done it. So and the flip book, it means you're an animator, and you can do it with a flip book, or you can do it with your ProCreate program or any drawing program. As I say, there are apps available that you can certainly access to. And I think let's go back to our other scene, the great scene we had with the fellow jumping off the cliff here, and have fun with that. Let's play that again. And and you could sit and look at it forever. And if you want to make a modification to it, you can certainly do that too. And you can take that animation assist off and uncheck all of these boxes and go to the scene that you think needs work. I know if you're like me, you'll find one that you want to improve on and make it better. And again, just have fun with it. I'm just going to bring the camera back to me again, and just talk a little bit about some resources you can go online and find. Their Sketchbook, I think it's called Sketchbook, is an online animation program that you can do with your finger on a cell phone, which is great. It's very time consuming and you can waste a lot of time on there. But if you're learning a skill, that's never a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. And doodling on a sheet of paper, you'll just have no end of resources if you can do this, and you'll want to do it better and you'll want to do it faster. You'll find, because you want to say, well, I want to see how this turns out. You want to, if this guy's jumping off a cliff, you want, how does this work out? Does he live, or does he, it's the great, the great mystery of the story, telling the story. And I think with that, I'm going to ask Tom if he'd like to step in. I think we've got our lesson in, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, that was fantastic. I just there's a couple questions here, and I just answered one of them. So just demonstration, what tablet you're using. So I just let people know. So I just wanted to kind of tell everyone too, in case you're not looking at the chat. But so Jeff's demonstrating with an iPad Pro, and then the Apple Pencil, and that's what I mentioned. You can get with the Blue Mountains Public Library. We have an iPad Pro set up there. So if you have a library card with Blue Mountains Public Library, just go and take it out, and then you can do exactly what Jeff's doing here. You don't have to spend any money on the pencil or ProCreate. Take it out, and try these techniques out. At the same time, the reason we started using ProCreate, and I think it was kind of an experimentation, but I think I'm seeing some great value in it. But it's not expensive, and I want to mention that too, that it is under $20 really to buy as an app, like forever. So there's no monthly cost or anything. So what I saw, Jeff, what you demonstrated is fantastic, like just the animation assist and everything. And I think what a great tool just to be able to even start to concept. So could you give us just a kind of just some idea? I just have some questions here with like how long would a scene kind of take? Like what would it usually regularly take?
Wow. Well, it can take a long time. It depends on how accurate you want it to be, and how, if this little sequence of the guy jumping off the cliff there, that took me whatever it was, 10-15 minutes to do here. Now, if you were doing full detail and you had a crowd scene of 10 people and they're all moving, that could take days. It depends on the detail you want to put in it, and also depends on the accuracy of, if you will, or the if you want to spend time making it more beautiful and have full detailed characters jumping off a cliff, you've got to put details in too, and you've got to reproduce that each time you do the drawing. So that really depends. For a quickie scene like that, it took me 15 minutes, and that's it got the effect. You don't. It's not Disney. If you're trying to reproduce Disney as well, like you may never achieve it. So it might be forever before you do it. So it really depends. But I would not, having said that, I would not hold myself back. If you really wanted to have something really sophisticated looking, that it is worth the effort to try to do that. And you may end up somewhere in between. But it's I remember. Well, I've been doing professional artwork most of my adult life, and I find that yeah, the more detail you want to put in it, it's going to cause you to have to work a lot harder. So it really depends on the if you want it to be like Disney style quality, and if you want to have full color, that's going to add a lot of time. It's yeah, I guess that's the answer, is that it's whatever effort you want to put into it, and whatever quality you want to have this the end result will improve your product. But again, you can do a quickie little 10-minute job like I just did, and it'll be fun, and you'll learn a lot. I don't question or not.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think just one more thing, if we can ask you just about the just another question here with in terms of the like for the baseball player, for the pitcher. Now, if you wanted to, if you know, how, in terms of kind of the realism and non-realism, like what would you suggest in terms of starting with more realism before you went into, kind of characterization or caricature or comedy in the person? So what would be the best path for someone starting in animating, like to go for the realism and then cartoon it, or go right into like a cartooning of a baseball player?
I would say you probably learn the most with the stickman. You'll learn the most about extreme movement or fun movement, because the simpler you make it for yourself at the start, the better you'll probably do in the end. And I'd say keep it simple. Just start with a basic stickman. That's how I learned, with the stickman on on a 6 or 7 notepad sheets, and then challenge yourself later to try to put the realism in, if that's your goal. Challenge yourself later with those basics that you learned with the stickman, but definitely in the early time, keep it simple, and then you'll pick up the stuff, and then you'll be able to move on from there. I hope.
Perfect. No,
Perfect.
that's
No,
that's
that's
fantastic. Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think like what you're saying is, and like and the speed that you can do it at is to work some things out and get the concepts going, and work into more complex things. No, I think that's fantastic. Now, yeah, so I think that's great. If I'm gonna put up, we have Jeff's email. I'm just gonna look here. Yeah, just in terms of Jeff, a question came in here. In terms of some of the frame drawings, are they more critical or important than other drawing frames? Like in terms of like, because you said like the in between frames, and like do you? I guess maybe the question is, do you spend less time on the in between if you're once you're going with the like kind of the key ones and then the in between?
Well, the way if we did it classically, the the main animator would do the key drawings. Now it's changed totally. Like it's a totally different landscape now, I think, in animation. But what my background, we would have the animator do the key drawings, so the extreme movements, pose 1, pose 2, pose 3, and these would be extreme movements that would be. These would actually be directorial notes to the animator, and basically directions to what they should do. So it would be baseball player leans back to with his arms up over his head to make pitch. So that would be the instruction to the poser. And then after that, the in-betweener would do the in-between movements, and that would be where you'd get your motion. So, and that could vary too. I think with our project, the Teddy Ruxpin project, it was television animation, which had a lot less, a lot less movement per frame. I think it was like nine movements per second or something, or per, yeah, it was just a lot less than Disney production, for example, that would have 24 frames of full movement. So So yeah, you do what your job is, and for the main animator, it would be doing the extreme movements, and then it would be up to the assistant animators or the cleanup staff to do those in betweens and to clean up the movement in between to straighten it out. So, but now I think one person does the whole thing. So yeah, I would say if you give the the main your main drawings, the main poses, it directs everybody else to do their job better. So definitely, it's a process, but yeah, the main poses are your direction for the whole scene.
Perfect. That's
Perfect.
great.
That's great.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, that's great to get that context of, where these ideas come from too, right? Like the traditional workflow or prior workflow. So that's great. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put Jeff his email here, so you can contact Jeff Wilson Mentorship at gmail.com. So as we do this workshop and as you're part of it, the you can just send some questions and comments to Jeff. And I also put my email here too, so tech questions. So we're seeing some software questions and things like that. And there's some questions here for like exporting. And so what we'll do is let's hold off on that as we continue through the workshop. So we'll again, we really want you to join us for all 4 weeks, and you'll learn a lot about stuff. One quick question here on the desktop software. So you can use things like Adobe has something called Animate or Flash. It used to be Flash, now it's called Animate, so that would be kind of a desktop version. So that would be something you could use there. But yeah, so I think let's. I hope you guys can join us for next week, and if you want to send Jeff some of these questions too. Let's keep the conversation going, and we'll rejoin next Saturday, same time, 10 a.m. Week 2, we'll be going into backgrounds, so really exciting. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Just want to thank all our partners in this project again, Canada Council for the Arts, then our library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Library. Thank you, Jeff. And yeah,
Yeah, and here I'll just give it to Jeff to give his final goodbye, and we'll wrap up.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Tom. Well, I thanks for taking me back to my childhood and letting me relive the flip book, which was a really exciting part of being a kid and being a rebellious kid even. But no, it was fun, and I hope you have the same amount of fun at it. I often think we today have lost a lot of the a lot of the simplicity of life, but it's just changed. It's kind of changed position, and we can go back and enjoy those things that I enjoyed as a child. You can enjoy it just in a different format, like on ProCreate. It's like Playland for me. It's a lot of fun. So I just would encourage you to just try it out, play with it. You'll begin to see your work come to life. And have fun with it, and if I can help, or if Tom can help in any way, we're both quite available, and we'd love to see you flourish with what you've learned. So, with that, I'll say hope to see you next week for backgrounds.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. So yeah, please join us. If you haven't signed up, you can book tickets for weeks 2, 3, 4, or the digital ticket that you're using currently will give you access to the next 3 weeks as well. So we'll see you guys next week for week 2 of 2D animation. Have a great rest of the day and take care.